Hello my friends, welcome back to the channel. Today I have night shift which starts at 10 p.m. and at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I'm cooking because I need to make sure I'm meal prepping, and it's approaching the end of the month, so my budget is running low, so I need to not start just order takeout whenever I want to. So today we're gonna make some chicken with some pepper, so just very simple Chinese stir fry. And then I'll bring you guys along with me to my night shift. It's a ward cover shift, so it's one of the shifts that I actually don't mind as much. I showed you guys my clocking shift before. A ward cover to me is relatively easy, I want to say. As an FY1, the ward cover shifts are usually not like the most serious cases. They're usually for you to review someone's blood results, or someone is acutely delirious, you need to go calm them down, try to reorientate them, or someone has an x-ray done before 5:30 p.m. and you just need to wait for the x-ray to come back and just review the x-ray. So usually it's not that bad. Obviously you can get cases where someone's potassium is over the roof, and that's very dangerous medically, so you have to quickly manage it. There are some acute cases, but I'm 1.5 months in as a doctor. I feel a little bit more confident nowadays when it comes to these ward cover shifts, because I've done worse. So that's that. And before I cook the chicken, okay, it's fine, because sometimes the chicken is off, even though it's not expired, and you open it, it's the most stinky stuff that you will ever smell. Like, I don't understand why chicken smells good cooked, but then if it's gone off, it's like the worst thing you can imagine. Anyways, another thing that I want to reflect with you guys together throughout these vlog is the big news that's happening in the UK for all junior doctors / resident doctors, which is the competition ratio. And to be honest, I am putting on a smile in front of the camera right now, but in the past 2 days has just been kind of a shocking, not even shocking, like it's a period of time where I'm in shock, let's put it that way. So just to give you a brief idea, basically to train as a doctor in the UK, you study hard in high school, you get a good grade enough to get into medical school, and you pass the medical school exams, which are quite difficult in themselves, and then you pass what's called the UK MLA exam, which is a standardized national exam for all medical graduates. You become a doctor, you do 2 years of foundation training, so that's what I'm doing right now. You rotate through different specialties, sometimes to your preference, sometimes not. It's mostly random, but then you can put your preference in. And then after those 2 years of guaranteed job, you technically don't have a guaranteed job. You have to apply. You have to do another exam, and you have to apply for core training or specialty training. So most of the medical specialties like cardiology, internal medicine, any internal medicine stuff, including psychiatry and general practice or / family medicine, you have to do this one exam, and then you get a score, and then based on how you do, you get allocated, or you get like ranked, and then let's say for a specific specialty you have to get over a certain score to even secure an interview for that, and for other more competitive ones you have to get a higher score to get an interview for that. Anyways, so that's how it works. So the competition ratio has just came out for 2025, and I'm not going to assume you watch my videos because my channel is very, very small. There's not many people watching it, and I do this channel for my younger self. I give advice to my younger self, but I have to say this video is probably for my older self. Psychiatry is what I want to do, and I'm very set on that. I've been wanting to do that since I'm a medical student, and I have not changed so far, at least since I became a doctor. Psychiatry used to be not such a competitive thing to get into. So back in 2020, which is 4 years ago, the competition ratio for getting into psychiatry in the UK is about 2.5 to 1, meaning every 2.5 people applying to get a psychiatry training post, one person gets in. Now, there's still a bit of competition, but as someone who's in the medical industry, as a doctor, when you go into this field, you almost sign up for this life of competition. You almost say to yourself and to the world that I'm going to be a doctor, and there are a lot of good things that come from it, which is why I'm voluntarily willing to bear the intense competition, the long hours, the emotional burnouts, all the unpleasant stuff that comes with it. And competition is one of the biggest ones. So no one said anything about that. Now, last year, 2024, the competition ratio for getting a psychiatry post is 9 to 1, meaning every 9 people who apply to a psychiatry post in the UK, 1 gets in. And that was very scary, because if you think about the competition, that's probably the worst since I applied to medical school. Now, I would argue even to get into medical school, it's not that bad. The medical school I went to, which is the University of Buckingham, it wasn't that hard to get in. Obviously, after I went in, a whole lot of stuff happened, and I nearly got kicked out, and I studied very hard. This whole thing is on my channel, right? And I'm very transparent about how difficult medical school was for me. But just in terms of getting in terms of surviving competition, objectively is not as bad as 9 to 1. On every 9 person, 1 survives, and the rest of them gets kicked out or gets left out or gets whatever. So 9 to 1 is a crazy number. Plus, as you progress in the medical journey, you're not just competing with the whole population anymore. You're competing with more and more dedicated people that are more similar to you, that also wants to do exactly what you want to do. So the competition gets harder and harder, and the ratio gets higher and higher. So ever since last year, when I saw that thing, I'm kind of in this denial state of mind, thinking, you know what, I'm doing the best I can. I've got national conference. In my medical student years, I've been to national conferences. I've got essay prize. I've got a poster prize. I met some lovely tutors who guided me on this journey. I was giving a lot of confidence and reassurance, encouragement. I did my assistantship in psychiatry. I got some experience. I'm very certain this is what I want to do. So I'm telling myself, like, no matter what it is, no matter how hard the competition is, you have to just keep going and do it, and do your best. Now, yesterday, the 2025, so 1 year later, we're in 2025 now, the competition ratio came out for psychiatry. And if you're watching this, chances are you are a medical student or you are a doctor like me. But if you're not, just take 1 second to guess what the ratio is. It's 21 to 1, meaning every 21 people who applied to get a psychiatric training post in the UK, only 1 person gets it. Now, to give you another context, when people apply to these training posts, a lot of people would put psychiatry because it usually has a low score to pass to get into, and a lot of people would use it as a backup plan. So what I'm saying is, the backup plan of all specialty training posts in the UK has a 20 to 1 ratio of getting in, meaning the 19 people or the 20 people who doesn't get in will become unemployed. Unemployed meaning you don't have a permanent job. Obviously, you can pick up bank shifts here and there. We call it locum, but that's not a permanent job. So to just allow me to have a little bit of negativity here, because I've been in kind of this state of shock for the past 2 days. We signed up to this profession knowing all the risks that we're gonna get, knowing all the sacrifice that we will be making, and we said that's fine. But one of the things, or one of the rewards for a job as a doctor is that it has job security. And there's no way around it, there's no denying it. Of course, I will be the first one to tell you, working as a FY1 in the UK, where we are underpaid, where we go on strikes, but a lot of people would disagree with us, where a lot of us have this unhappiness with the new rise of PAs, even though I don't really blame the PAs. I blame the fact that there are just not enough jobs. I actually appreciate PAs. Anyways, the dramas. We know all of this, and I will be the first one to tell you this job is enjoyable, this job is rewarding. I am learning about myself as a human being from this job as much as I'm helping people. So I feel like, what's in it for me? A lot. And it's interesting because I keep seeing this military ad on YouTube. I don't know if you get the same thing. I keep seeing this ad. It's like some sort of military ad to recruiting UK. I'm not British, but it's always the same format. It's like some people are doing some random stuff, like preparing for battle or something, and then there's going to be one person who says, "You know all of this, but what you want to ask is, what's in it for me?" They build a skill that they can take out of the military when they go back to their community. The medicine feels the same to me. It feels like, yes, I'm doing this thing where I'm helping people, I'm standing on my feet for 13 hours, but what's in it for me? A lot of things. And this whole channel, I've been trying to answer that question, and I've been answering it well, I think. But also what's in it for me previously, and dare I say, for all of the other resident doctors in the UK, is job security. And that's a big thing for any professional in the workforce, no matter if you're a doctor or not. And now that's taken away from us. It's simple as that. Like, there is no job security for doctors in the UK. And for the past 2 days, I found myself kind of doing random things like a headless fly, searching for alternatives to a job in medicine, rethinking my choice of psychiatry. And it's very, very scary when those thoughts come in, where your faith is kind of wobbly, right? I don't know, like, what do I do? Should I still use the same line as I used last year, because it's not going to cut it now? And should I move to a different country? Do you know that more than half of the doctors in the UK eventually leave the UK, even though it costs, how many millions to train one doctor, and then they all end up leaving. And I'm saying this, I'm not even a British international. I'm not even a British national. I'm an international, and I'm dedicated to the system. But today, right now, I am thinking of going to Australia. I am thinking of moving to a different country, and by no means that's what I wanted. By no means that's easy. It means leaving all the friends and family, and everything that I built up since I came to this country when I was 14 years old, and starting all over again. So, is there something that I'm like, wow, I'm so excited about that leaving all my friends? And I will tell you that I have a partner as well, potentially leaving all of that relationship. It's going to be very, very difficult. But what other options are there? Like, what else can I do? Do I choose to do something else? So I think one very reasonable option is, right, let's forget about psychiatry because it's too competitive. Let's find something easier. First of all, I'm not willing to give up this one thing that I'm very, very passionate about. And secondly, what else? What else is there that's easier? I saw that for family medicine it's 5-1. So yes, the competition is much less. But much less to 20-1. But if you just take 5-1 and think, right, 5 people, only 20% gets in. And that's a specialty that is the least competitive for UK graduates, for UK resident doctors. So everyone in this pool are doctors who have studied their ass off for years, probably since GCSE time they've been thinking about this, dedicated their whole life, and now they're all going to be unemployed, right? So this is where we are right now. This is the state of the healthcare system. And you know, if you came across this video and you just find this random Chinese dude who is being very ungrateful about the fact that he gets to even train in the UK and get a job here, make money here, I urge you to look at all the other videos I've been making, because the whole point of this channel is for me to, you know, they say romanticize life, or to me to be grateful about what I have. And at this very moment, I'm not sure where my future holds. So I suppose this vlog today, throughout this night shift, throughout the next 16 hours where I'll be awake, I will be thinking about this, and I want to just document the most authentic thoughts for my future self. Like, what is my plan? How should I carry this mindset forward? Because I was sitting in a cafe this afternoon, and I'm like, well, I still have to go for a night shift today. And the passion is there. I'm 1 month in, of course, and like I look forward to every single shift as long as I was well rested. But now it's just like something is taken out. Some part of the motivation is taken out of me, and I think it's hope, right? We know it's the hope that's taken out. Like what am I supposed to do now to battle that insecurity, that big cloud of insecurity, uncertainty in front of me? I don't really know. I have no answer to that. I have no answer to that. It's 8:24. I need to leave around, let's say, 9:20 to the hospital, and my shift today, as I said, is ward cover. So I'll probably change at home and just go to the handover. And I've done a night shift once, so I know that I need to bring some coffee pods. There's a very good coffee machine, like an Nespresso coffee machine in our doctor's mess. So I need to bring some coffee pods and bring some snacks. And if I cook this, I cut up all the chicken, by the way. Cook this and bring some in like a box, so I can eat it throughout the night to keep myself awake. That would probably do. And yeah, I'll bring you guys along and talk to you a little bit about my job and what is a ward cover, and how a 20-something-year-old is kind of running and taking care of all the wards in the hospital overnight. So yeah, so it's a crazy thing. It's a crazy concept, even to me still. But I'm just imagining when I'm a student to think, okay, to stay up overnight, it's kind of impossible, and to be left there and make your own decisions to keep patients alive throughout the night. That's the one goal, to keep them alive throughout the night, so that the day team comes in and can give a proper plan. So if it's not too busy, I will be bringing you along and talking to you a little bit about what I'm doing, without breaching any patient confidentiality, of course. So I've cut everything up. Now I'm going to fry them and put them in a box and be on my way. Alright guys, so got the oranges, got the chicken, got the, what is it called? Crumpet. I was gonna say spongy bread, but then I was like, there's no way it's called that. And then got 1 coffee, 2 coffee, 3 coffee, 4 coffee, 5 coffee. That should be enough to keep me up throughout the night. And I've got my little camera that I usually use to vlog, if I got the chance to. There's no way I'll bring my actual camera to the hospital. That's just not appropriate. But sometimes if I get a break, I can flip this out, do a little reflection or do a little update to you guys when I can. So that's going to be in my bag, and we are ready to go. So I just started, just finished handover, and I already have my first job. There's a guy, one of the wards, who is in severe pain, who requires subcutaneous morphine, but they require a doctor's review before that can be injected. So even though it's not very urgent, I can imagine like this guy's probably been in pain for a long time, so I'm just making my way there already. So I'll see you when I get a break. It's currently 3:07 a.m. I'm not too hungry and I haven't gone to the toilet for like I haven't peed as well. So I think the issue is dehydration rather than food. So I'm not gonna have that sponge bread. I'm just gonna have the chicken instead and have a coffee. And then I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing since 10 p.m. and it's been okay. I've been handling everything well. Patients keeps coming in, but let me have this and then I'll log into the computer in the doctor mess and finish off a few jobs while telling you about my night so far. Alright, let's log in. I'm technically on my break, but night shift is like more relaxed from my understanding. Like you just get the job done, and if you can give yourself a little break, then do that. Because you know, I've seen people taking a nap because there's nothing on the job list. But for me, since 10 p.m., there just has been like new things keeps coming in. I've reviewed 2 patients just now, and I just need to document what I have done. Interesting, the 2 patients both have a lot of pain that's keeping them awake. One of the patients came in with alcohol withdrawal symptoms, and she also has a ongoing ongoing problem that's causing her pain. So she takes a normal dosage of painkiller, but because she has this alcohol withdrawal problem, you give this particular drug called lorazepam to deal with the alcohol withdrawal symptoms. And when you have lorazepam, it makes us a lot more cautious about opioids, which are painkillers. And as a result of that, we decreased her pain relief dosage. So she's in a lot of pain right now. She cannot sleep. So I discussed this case with my senior registrar, who suggested that I can give her a small dose of strong opioid, but a very small dose of strong opiate called morphine, just as a breakthrough pain, so like a one-off dose. And obviously, we need to keep an eye on her, how she's doing, because the reason that we cannot give these two together, we basically, it's not we cannot, but we have to be super careful, is because both of these medications, the opioids and the lorazepam, they can cause sedation, and they can cause a patient to be quite, yes, you would knock them out, but they will be quite sedated, and if anything happens, if they deteriorate, then it is less obvious for us to pick it up. So that is why. And another patient is also in a lot of pain. I haven't gone to see the second patient myself yet. I will do, but I've just called up the nurse who's take care of him. Like basically, we can call them, and he is sleeping. So a lot of times I've noticed is that patients can be in a lot of pain, and they would put out a referral to us to go review them. But by the time we come around to these patients, they are asleep. And if they are asleep, the general understanding is that it's not that painful. I know it can sound a bit harsh, but when you're in the hospital taking care of all the wards in the hospital, the whole hospital, um, a lot of times there are things that are more urgent than someone feeling pain, and it's quite common to feel pain if you're an inpatient in the hospital. So that's just the nature of the things. So I was relieved to hear that this second patient was sleeping. So I need to just document that to say I've had a conversation and the patient is sleeping currently. So we're not going to do anything for now. So I would just say referral receipt regarding patients in pain, discussed with nursing staff taking care of patient. Patient is currently asleep. And just to be safe, because at the end of the day I am responsible for this patient, I'm just going to have a look at his most recent vital signs. So look at his observations. So his observations are absolutely fine. There's nothing acutely presenting to me that's making me worried about his condition clinically. So observation reviewed, clinically stable, no immediate concerns overnight. So one thing that I've learned through these night shifts is that our job through the night is just to keep them alive and keep them stable until the day team can take over. And the day team is a much bigger team with more specialists who can deal with, can actually treat them actively. And the night team's job is just to maintain them. So I've just documented that. Obviously, always safety nets and tell them that if anything changes, if any deterioration occurs, then refer the patient back to us. So that patient is done. Now on the list, I still have one more patient to do, but I'm gonna give myself a break. I've got one death verification to do. So this is a patient on a ward that I'm quite familiar with actually, and the referral just said, when the nurse was checking the patient, there was no signs of life. There was no pulse and no breathing. So basically, I just need to go there and verify that the patient has sadly passed away and document that very well. So I'm gonna do that after my break, because if I keep going, the list will keep growing, and I have to just block out a time and say, have a break, do not think about anything. I mean, I was gonna tell you all about the patient I saw tonight, but I think I'm just gonna eat my chicken instead. I mean, most patients I saw were okay. Either you're in pain or I need to review the results. There was one patient that I was quite worried about actually. Basically, he has developed some high temperature, and we've sent blood cultures off and it hasn't come back. The good thing is the day team today, this morning, I should say yesterday, they've left a documentation to say if he continues to have high temperature, then we'll treat him as hospital acquired pneumonia. So what that is when a patient stays in hospital for more than 48 hours, and if they spike a temperature, then it is very likely that they have got a bacteria from being in hospital, and it's actually quite common. And hospital is this place where you've got a lot of infection going on and a lot of vulnerable patients with compromised immune system. So it is quite common for someone to get an infection by being in hospital, and most common infection you can get is lung infection called pneumonia. So this particular patient tonight at about like 1 a.m. was still spiking high temperature, and he was getting his oxygen saturation was also decreasing. So oxygen saturation is just how much oxygen is in your blood, and we need, for a normal person, we need for that to be around 94 to 98%, and this patient was going downhill slowly, and when I reviewed him, he was about 92%. So I prescribed him some antibiotics to treat him as hospital-acquired pneumonia. There's no way that we will know for sure, but it's good enough to see the clinical signs and treat them as. So this antibiotic I prescribe is called coamoxiclav. It's quite a broad spectrum antibiotic that will cover a lot of bacteria, a lot of the common ones. So the next step would be to wait for the blood culture, which is a blood test that looks for a specific bug in the blood. So wait for that result to come back, and then we will see exactly what bacteria is causing this infection. This high temperature going on, and then we'll know we can modify basically the antibiotic to target that bacteria better. So the modification usually happens after a discussion with the microbiologist in the hospital. So that's not something that we'll do overnight. There's no need to wake up a microbiologist to ask him about this, especially there's already a plan in place to treat him as hospital-acquired pneumonia for now, and then we'll reassess tomorrow when the day team doctors come in to see if the blood culture came back, etc., etc. So that was a good case because I had to actually look up the hospital guidelines for myself to see what exactly is the dosage and type of antibiotic I need to give to this patient, and I needed to make a decision on his oxygen saturation because it was going low. So we wanted to increase his oxygen mask, the amount of oxygen going into his lungs. So that was that case. Slightly worrying, but hopefully we'll get it under control. So I've got this piece of paper. Any doctor you see possibly will have a piece of paper with all the patients they're seeing. Obviously, I'm not writing any patient identifiable information except their hospital number and a quick summary of each patient. And if a patient requires, I feel like I want to go review them in a few hours' time, then I would make a note myself. So I've got probably 3 patients that I'm planning to go just to eyeball them, just to have a look at them at around 4 or 5 a.m. just to see if what I've done has worked, basically. And the rest of them, even though I've clicked them off on my list on the computer, I'll keep a note in case there's any further deterioration and they come back, then I can quickly remember what they were about, what I did and what's the update, so make a decision upon that. So I've got this with me, and I'm really gonna eat in peace. Good morning, this is Tian MUF1. Can I talk to you about, I've had a discussion with my registrar about, basically he said if she is still in pain, we can give her 2.5 milligrams breakthrough morphine. Is she still awake? Oh, she's not awake, okay, she's supposed to sleep. Every few minutes. Okay, fine. I'm gonna put it on a drug chart. When she wake up, just say that the doctor has decided to give her the 2.5. But it's only once and only tonight, and then we can see if we can review her codeine tomorrow. So it's only a once, PRN once only. Okay? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, bye-bye. First coffee of the night, and we're getting back to work. So I'm just gonna have a read at what happened to this patient who sadly passed away. So the main thing to figure out is if this is an expected or an unexpected death. If it's unexpected death, obviously more investigation needs to go into this. Okay, so I can see that on reading the notes, this patient was seen by the palliative care team yesterday. and they have documented that this patient was already actively dying. So I can then comfortably say that this is an expected death. So I just need to go and verify this death and document this. Now, because I'm very junior, it is still good to just brush up on the things I need to do to verify someone has indeed passed away. So I'm just going to quickly read through what I need to do. From what I remember, I have to listen to the heart, and I have to palpate the carotid pulse, and I have to look at the pupil. I have to test their pain stimuli, so have a hard squeeze on their shoulder, trapezium. So all of these things are things that I need to do. So have a look. I'm literally Googling from a trusted source. So wash my hands, check identity, and speak to the patient. So this was something that, especially when I was in my training, I remember my trainer was teaching us, always still speak to the patient. So one is that you're doing like a verbal stimuli. Just for example, like, Mr. Smith, can you still hear me? So that can give you an idea if they can hear you, but also needs to respect the patient. So yeah, check for pupil reflex, corneal reflex, motor response, carotid pulse, heart sound, and breathing sound, and any signs of life. So yeah, that's fine, and I need to document it. So I'm gonna finish my coffee and be on my way. Alright, so I have verified this gentleman's death. So I'm just back to document that. And then I like to say, may patient name rest in peace. Okay, and my name, my GMC number, and where. Yeah, fine. So now I'm gonna sign and submit it. Now that I'm happy. Fine. So when I came back, I actually met another F1 who's taking his break in the doctor's mess. He's an on-call but surgical, so he's a surgical on-call F1, and he's also having a rather okay night because we're not allowed to say the Q word. So we had a little conversation. We realized that we actually have the same rotation, just in different sequence in our F1. So I have cardiology, urology, and general surgery, and he's got urology, general surgery, and cardiology. So I was telling him all about the stuff I'm going through on cardiology, and he was telling me all the stuff going on urology. And the take-home message is I look forward to my urology post in this hospital because it sounds like the F1s are very well supported. Anyways, that's done. So we're gonna close this patient, and may this patient rest in peace. We'll take him off the list, and we've got a new patient who's got a positive blood culture, who's being treated for sepsis of the white blood cells, which is quite a severe condition. I've actually had a read at his notes as well before I press record, and I've made a little mind map because for this patient I want to summarize and escalate this to my senior to just get an idea of what I should do, because there's a positive blood culture usually indicates a few things. One, there's an ongoing infection, but he's already being treated for sepsis of the white blood cells. We call it neutropenic sepsis. So usually blood positive culture requires antibiotic. What antibiotic? That's the first question. Second question, do we look through the hospital guidelines and give him something generic, or do we wake up the on-call microbiologist and ask him about this? Third question is, he's already on antibiotic for this neutropenic sepsis. Do we need to do a modification, or do we need to add another antibiotic to it, or are we okay throughout the night and we can let the day team decide? is there anything urgent, immediate action that's warranted right now at 4:45 a.m. So those are the questions I'll be asking. So yeah, that's fine. So I'm not gonna take you to the big doctor's office because that's where everyone is, and it's probably not appropriate to bring a camera in, and that's also gonna distract myself. So I'm gonna go and summarize this patient to him and come up with a plan, and I'll probably see you in a couple of hours, unless this is done very quickly and come back to the doctor's mess. Then I'll give you another update on what I plan to do for the next 3 hours or so. So yeah, I'll see you in a bit. So that patient I've discussed with my senior registrar, and we've given him some different antibiotic based on the blood culture he's had. And then I dealt with another patient right after that, which wasn't too major, so I dealt with that fairly quickly. It is currently 6:11 a.m. and my plan, since there's no one on my list, my plan is to go for a little nap in one of the sleeping pods. Am I sleepy? Yes, I feel a bit tired. Usually the first day of these overnight shifts, you get the most tired because I didn't sleep much during the day. So now I've been up for many hours now. So the good thing is they provide these clean sheets. So I'm just gonna take you to one of the 2 sleeping pods. So got a bed there. So I'm just gonna make a little bed temporarily and maybe nap for, let's say, 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna get up and refresh my job list and deal with any kind of last batch of the job of the night, because we are approaching the morning. So yeah, that's the plan. It is nearly 7 a.m. and I've just checked again my list. There's only one thing on my list, and there's a patient spiked temperature, basically meaning temperature is found to be high, and they just wanted me to review this patient, see if there's a active infection going on. So I'm just gonna read through his notes and maybe discuss with my registrar again. Looking at his notes, it seemed like he's stable. So yeah, I don't know, but we are 1 hour away from handover, so hopefully it won't be too busy in this last hour, and until the day team can take over. The nap was good, but waking up was difficult because I felt like I did fall asleep. Yeah, but yeah, can't wait to go home. So that patient I sorted out. There's no clinical signs of infection right now, so I just asked the nursing staff to kindly keep reviewing and keep tracking observation, sent off some blood samples and blood cultures, so do a full infection screen. Other than that, there's no clear signs of infection. There's not a true 38 degrees, it's 37.7, so technically it's not like a high temperature. So that's that for now. It is a bit over 7 a.m. I'm gonna take a walk around the hospital because at this point I feel sleepy, but there's no one on the list. So I probably will just take a walk around the hospital. The few patients that I said I was gonna go review them, if I walk past the ward, I'll just go see those patients again and maybe grab a proper coffee from the hospital cafe. Just gonna grab some breakfast. I did see my senior registrar in the corridor, and I asked him if I could just grab something from the canteen because I saw him with like a takeaway box. So I think, don't get me wrong, this is not a common thing. It's one of the rare days that it's not too busy, so we get to breathe a little bit. And with overnight, ward cover shifts, it does tend to become less busy approaching the morning, especially in the last hour before the handover at 8 a.m. Obviously, if there's a medical emergency, I'm gonna leave all my hash browns and run to that. And the hospital I work at, everything emergency wise, the bleep come through my phone, so I always have my phone with me. So if there's an emergency, I would be able to hear it, and you'll be able to hear it, and we'll be running to the emergency. So for now, I'm just gonna quickly eat some food because I'm probably not gonna eat anything when I get home. I'm gonna take a shower and just try to sleep, or take a shower, maybe upload all these footage, for a bit, and then go to sleep anyways, and aim to wake up around 3 p.m. That's probably good enough for me to, get up, eat some more food, do something, and then prepare to go to work later on in the evening. And tonight, I'm actually gonna go visit one of my F1 friends' house party. I think he's holding a house party. There's gonna be a lot of people, but obviously, because I'm working at night, I'm obviously not gonna be drinking anything. But I still wanted to just go and say hi. So there's that happening as well. Remember, I was talking to you about meeting this other F1 who was doing surgical on call tonight. I asked him about what his thoughts are on the current competition ratio that just came out, and he's basically saying he's in this choosing to be in the blissful ignorance, and he's not looking at it because he doesn't want to think about that. And I completely understand because it's something that you look at it and it just takes the hope out of you. Um, I suppose I have taken some time tonight to reflect and think about like how do I even go forward with this job going. Um, I think I'm gonna choose to be grateful because it's always a choice. I can always choose to become resentful and think there's no point to any of this because I'm gonna be unemployed anyways, um, which could be a possibility. You know, we talked about this today with not just the F1 but also one of the other colleagues tonight. You know, she was saying it's not just about progressing, it's that the figures in recent years has been 50% of the people finishing F2. It's not just progressing, it's they don't even have a job. So in the past, most of them would progress into specialty training, and if they don't get into specialty training or for some reason don't want to get into specialty training, then the option is to stay in this same kind of job. So not like F2, but we call it F3. But you still have a job and you still get paid like a little bit more than F2, but not as much as a specialty trainee. That's not even the case. It's 50% of the F2s don't have a job. Um, and I can choose to think, okay, that's just no future for me. Or I can think about, for me, yes, the competition ratio for psychiatry is, very high, 20 to 1, but in terms of how many people are actually dedicated and only want to do psych, probably not that many. I mean, as obviously the more the better for the field of psychiatry, but I also know for a fact that a lot of people would put psychiatry as a backup option, and they apply to and many things, and they wish to get into other things. So that leads me to another thing, which is I'm not too happy with the way that the UK selection process is designed for psychiatry because that currently it's only based on that one big exam for all the internal medicine specialties, and there's no interview. So as long as you pass a certain score and you have chosen psychiatry in your application, you get a place. And as much as I've been studying the Australian process, there is an interview, there is a cover letter, and you can talk about your experience. You can talk about how you are interested in psychiatry. You can demonstrate that through an interview process. I'm not saying that I hate exams. I kind of do, but I'm not saying that exams is a bad way to judge a person. But I'm just saying for a specialty, especially like psych, mental health, um, having a portfolio, I feel like is actually quite important, because you want to demonstrate that you've been thinking about this since an earlier age. Uh, I don't I by no means I have a lot of CV stuff or portfolio stuff, but I have done certain things that demonstrated my interest in psych. I've got national conferences. I've presented at national conferences. I've won, essay prize. I've won poster prize, and I've been involved in some research. I have this channel where I talk to psychiatrists, but again, that's not going to be relevant in terms of like professional. That's just my own personal interest. But still, like, I do consider myself quite dedicated to it at my stage, and I would like to tell people that, if they are trying to find an employee and a trainee, I want to demonstrate that. So I think I'm going to remain grateful, and another reason I will be is because I have a post in psychiatry next year in Oxford. I also have posts in Oxford, in A&E and ENT in John Radcliffe Hospital, which is like a tertiary center. Having those experiences will help me, even if I do decide to go ahead to apply for an Australian job. Um, I think either way, with all of these experiences, and I will apply for a psychiatric job, or even just to start with an SHO in a different country, will be these will prepare me pretty well for that. So I'm not saying that. I guess I am. I'm saying that either way, I feel like God has set me up pretty well for the path going forward. Even though this competition ratio thing is very, very scary, I think if I take full advantage of what I have already secured uh, with my current placements, then I can do quite well, especially with a post in psych. I can get, it's like when you're working, you get as much as you put into it, right? So I will try to get as much out of it as possible and use that as my experience as a leverage to apply for a psych position, maybe in a different country if the UK has not resolved this issue. So that's my plan for now. And this year, since yesterday, I felt like I made a decision to start looking for more projects to get myself involved in professionally in the field of psychiatry, and I wouldn't mind it, right? I'm interested in it anyways. I remember when I was in medical school, I had this cancer block, so a block of 7 weeks where we learn about cancers and stuff, and we needed to do a presentation. So everyone else in my group did a presentation about one cancer patient, and I was the only person who I designed um, a survey, and I went around this cancer ward, and I basically did a whole like audit myself about patients' depression, cancer patients' depression scale whilst they're inpatient, and it was a full thing, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I put in a lot more work than my colleagues for that presentation, but I find it really fun. So yeah, so I think one thing I'm gonna start doing even this year, starting next week, is I'm gonna reach out to the psychiatrists in this hospital I'm working in right now in Reading, and see if I can get involved in any projects, if I can come up with any good ideas to do, just to start building my portfolio, because I cannot rely on just simply, um, laying down and hoping that I can pass exam and get into psych training. That's not how things works anymore. And I think in a way, it's good. If I do decide to go down the Australian route, um, and I build a good, strong portfolio for the specialty I'm interested in, I think it's gonna set me up well. So I'm gonna remain hopeful and remain grateful and keep this channel on the side as a big reminder that I am simply living out an experience. Nothing is that deep. Literally nothing is that deep. It's there's no point making strategies and moves about how I can impress people. I just do what I want to do and do as much a good job as I can and document everything, because documentation is fun. Um, Sometimes I'm documenting for my future self, sometimes for my past younger self. And either way, this is a good practice. I've learned to love this practice of documenting and talking to the camera, because it helps me to think as well. So if you're watching this and if you're in the same boat, I suggest do the same. You don't even need to post it. Just pick up your phone and talk to it. Tell it like what's bothering you, and then do something. Go through some hard work, or go to the gym, whatever, and then tell it again. If you're feeling the same thing, it might be different, and that's pretty cool. So that's probably it. It is 7:35, so 25 minutes until the handover. I'm gonna go back to my computer and refresh that patient list once more to see if there's any further jobs that I need to do urgently before the handover. If not, I'm just gonna chill for the last 25 minutes and hand over a few of my patients to the day team for Saturday. And I think I'm gonna end this vlog here. Nearly lost my camera. Um, thank you so much for staying with me. I know my videos are getting very, very few views nowadays because I no longer teach like how to study in med school, like those things. I think it's not like I'm rejecting those things, those content. I know those content would get a lot of views, but I feel like personally I've moved on to a different stage, and I think I've given all the value I could in that area about passing medical school exams. So if you're a student, of course, watch those videos, and I really hope they can help you. But now I'm just focusing on doing my job, building my professional portfolio. Then this is not a business. This is not a 9 to 5 time job. This is just me documenting my life and being very opportunistic about what's gonna happen. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.